Santa's criminal record reads like a holiday special written by a bored lawyer. 1. The case of the unauthorized chimney entry. Every December, police departments across the country brace for their weirdest annual dilemma. People calling 911 to report a large bearded man entering homes without consent. And every time, the operator has to take a deep breath and ask, "Ma'am, is it December 24th?" One year in Minnesota, officers actually responded to a burglary call, busted through the door, and found a volunteer, Santa stuck halfway in a chimney doing a charity surprise. The homeowner panicked, the neighbors thought it was a break-in, and the poor guy ended up in handcuffs while still wearing his bells. His explanation, "I was just spreading joy," didn't help. Fun fact, the police report included the line, "Subject was cooperative but heavily covered in soot," which honestly feels like Santa's entire resume. 2. Disorderly conduct by flying reindeer. Picture this, a mall Santa in Florida, hired to arrive on a mechanical sleigh pulled by animatronic reindeer, decided to improvise and attach fireworks to the back for dramatic flair. The sleigh shot forward like a budget NASA launch, skidded across the parking lot, and took out 3 inflatable candy canes, a snowman, and someone's Toyota Corolla. The crowd screamed, kids sobbed, and Santa was tackled by security while shouting, "It was supposed to look magical." Police listed the incident as reckless endangerment with holiday accessories. The mall banned pyrotechnics for all future Santas. And honestly, that feels like a rule that should have existed long before this man tried to go full throttle North Pole. 3. Attempted bribery with cookies. In Ohio, a roadside Santa charity event went sideways when the man in the suit got pulled over for a busted taillight. Instead of handing over his license, he tried to smooth things over by offering the officer a Ziploc bag of homemade chocolate chip cookies straight from Mrs. Claus. The officer, who did not find this endearing, wrote in the report that the suspect attempted to bribe a public servant with baked goods. Santa argued he was simply sharing holiday cheer, which is adorable, but also completely illegal. He spent 3 hours in a holding cell explaining to confused officers why he was still jingling every time he moved. The cookies, for the record, were confiscated as evidence, which is honestly the saddest part of the story. 4. Public intoxication. On milk and cookies. In Wisconsin, officers responded to reports of a drunk Santa wandering the town square. Turns out, the man wasn't drunk. He was in a full-blown sugar spiral after visiting 8 different school events in one afternoon. Each kid offered him cookies. Each teacher insisted he try just one. By the time police found him, he'd consumed an estimated 4 pounds of frosting and was stumbling around, waving at pigeons like they were elves on break. His speech was slurred, not from alcohol, but from the sheer density of peanut butter Buckeyes stuck to the roof of his mouth. He wasn't arrested, but officers did escort him to the station for medical evaluation and hydration, which is the most polite way to say, someone put Santa in a Gatorade timeout. 5. The Great Sleigh Parking Violation. In New Jersey, a mall Santa decided to make his entrance truly unforgettable. Instead of parking in the designated loading zone, he rolled up on a horse-drawn sleigh and left it smack in the fire lane, blocking it. And I am not making this up, was a giant wooden sign reading "Santa arrives at 4 p.m." Fire marshals did not find this festive. They issued him a citation, to which Santa replied, "But it's a sleigh." They replied, "But it's a violation." The best part? The horse, dressed in jingling antlers, refused to move for 10 full minutes, causing a traffic jam so long people thought there was an actual parade. Santa later claimed this was all a miscommunication with the elves. The ticket said otherwise. 6. Santa versus shoplifting alarms. In Arizona, a charity Santa visiting a department store kept setting off the anti-theft alarms every time he walked past the exit. After 20 minutes of chaos and confusion, security discovered the issue. The Santa suit he rented had metal bells sewn inside the coat lining, along with 3 forgotten price tags still attached. The system flagged him as a walking shoplifting attempt. Customers watched as Santa got pat down, searched like he was smuggling stolen flat screens under his beard. His reaction? Oh no, made it into the incident report. Eventually, security cleared him, but not before a crowd of children witnessed Santa explaining barcodes and anti-theft devices to mall security like a man defending his entire career. 7. Breaking and entering into fixed decorations. In Oregon, a man dressed as Santa decided a neighbor's holiday lights weren't festive enough. So naturally, at 2 a.m., he climbed their fence, unplugged their decorations, and replaced them with his own. Flashing lights, oversized candy canes, and a 10-foot inflatable elf that looked like it wanted to fight someone. The homeowners woke up, saw a stranger tinkering with their power outlet, and called the police. When officers arrived, Santa was halfway through installing a snow projector on their lawn. His defense? "I was helping." The arresting officer's response? "You don't get to help at 2 a.m." The inflatable elf was taken as evidence, although neighbors insist they still hear it deflate at night like a wheezing yet festive ghost. The Santa who stole a snowplow. In Colorado, after a record snowstorm, a man in a Santa suit stole a municipal snowplow because, and this is an exact quote, "the roads needed saving." He managed to drive it 3 blocks before clipping a mailbox, sliding into a hedge, and taking out someone's decorative reindeer display at high velocity. Neighbors reported seeing Santa swerving like a drunk polar bear. Police arrived to find him still inside the cab, frantically pushing buttons trying to lift the plow blade like the Batmobile. He later explained he thought he was performing a civic duty. Unfortunately, the law disagreed, since civic duty usually doesn't involve commandeering city machinery while wearing fuzzy red gloves. The plow was fine, the hedge was not. 9. Santa's high-speed cookie chase. In Texas, police ended up in an actual low-speed pursuit when a man in a Santa suit stole a golf cart from a retirement community. His motive? He said he was late for cookie deliveries. Residents watched as Santa cruised through the neighborhood at a blistering 9 miles per hour, waving like he was in the world's slowest parade. Officers eventually boxed him in near the shuffleboard courts, where he tried to bribe them with oatmeal raisin cookies, which, honestly, should be illegal on their own. When questioned, he insisted he was doing official North Pole duties. Police noted in the report that he smelled strongly of peppermint schnapps, which probably explains why he kept shouting, "On Dasher, on Dancer," at a vehicle with no reindeer. 10. The mall Santa who faked his own kidnapping. In Nevada, a mall Santa attempting to skip work concocted an incredible plan: fake his own kidnapping. He left a note saying, "Santa has been taken, tell the elves," then disappeared for the day to gamble at a casino. The mall closed early, parents panicked, and an actual police investigation launched. Officers found him 6 hours later at a blackjack table still wearing his red pants and half his beard. His explanation? "I was testing the emergency response system." The police were not impressed. They charged him with filing a false report, and the mall issued a statement assuring customers that Santa was safe but no longer employed. Honestly, if you're going to fake a kidnapping, maybe at least remove the uniform first. 11. The Santa who tried to liberate a Christmas tree. In Washington state, a man dressed as Santa walked into a garden center and attempted to rescue a 12-foot spruce from the display area. He shouted, "This tree deserves freedom!" then tried to drag it toward the exit, knocking over 2 poinsettias, a row of wreaths, and an entire table of scented candles. Staff called the police while he wrestled with the tree like it owed him money. When officers arrived, they found him pinned under the spruce, still insisting he was acting on behalf of the forest. The police report listed the charge as attempted tree theft, which must be a very weird category on paperwork. The store generously offered him a discount if he just wanted to buy a smaller tree. He refused, saying tiny trees lacked spiritual potential. 12. Santa's runaway sleigh scooter incident. In Ohio, a small-town parade featured Santa arriving on a decorated mobility scooter because the organizer's real sleigh broke that morning. Everything was going great until Santa accidentally hit the throttle instead of the brake. The scooter shot forward, weaving through candy-throwing elves and horrified parents, then plowed directly into the marching band's sousaphone section. 2 instruments were dented, 1 tuba player fell over like a felled Christmas tree, and Santa was detained for his own safety, according to police. Witnesses said he kept apologizing and blaming the scooter's overwhelming torque, which is not something anyone has ever said about a mobility scooter. The parade eventually continued, minus 1 sousaphone and, temporarily, Santa. And 13. Breaking curfew to feed the reindeer. In Vermont, a town had a strict 8 p.m. noise curfew due to winter wildlife conservation rules. A man dressed as Santa violated it by loudly ringing a giant old-fashioned brass bell while marching down Main Street because the reindeer needed to know its feeding time. Neighbors called 911 reporting an aggressively festive intruder. When officers stopped him, he insisted the animals would starve without his bell-based communication system. Police calmly pointed out that reindeer aren't native to Vermont. Santa paused, looked deeply offended, and said, "Well, not with that attitude." They gave him a citation and confiscated the bell, which reportedly weighed more than a bowling ball and could be heard 3 counties away. 14. Santa arrested for disorderly conduct in a snow globe. In Utah, a man in a Santa suit climbed into one of those giant inflatable snow globes outside a shopping center, the kind meant for photo ops, and refused to come out. He said he was conducting important meteorological research on artificial snow. When staff tried to escort him out, he began spinning inside the globe, causing fake snow to whip around like a blizzard in a dryer. Kids screamed, parents filmed, and Santa shouted, "This is my winter kingdom!" Police had to deflate the globe with him inside, which looked less like an arrest and more like watching someone lose a wrestling match with a collapsing bouncy castle. He was charged with disorderly conduct and interference with seasonal decor. 15. The Santa who tried to direct traffic. In Illinois, after a major holiday shopping rush clogged the parking lot, a man in a Santa suit decided he could solve the gridlock better than actual traffic officers. He marched into the center of the intersection, started waving his arms dramatically, and shouted, "Follow me, children of the road!" He directed cars into each other's lanes, caused 2 fender benders, and nearly got run over twice. Drivers said they were confused because he kept switching between Jolly Santa voice and military drill. "Sergeant!" Police arrived and found Santa blowing a plastic candy cane like a whistle, trying to issue citations he'd scribbled on wrapping paper. They charged him with obstruction. He insisted he was trying to bring Christmas order to holiday chaos, which, ironically, was the exact opposite of what happened. 16. Santa versus the automatic car wash. In Michigan, a Santa hired for a holiday fundraiser decided to spruce up the sleigh, which in this case was actually a decorated minivan covered in garlands, plastic candy canes, and a giant blow-up reindeer duct taped to the roof. He forgot one crucial detail. He drove it straight into an automatic car wash without removing anything. The brushes caught the garlands like they'd been waiting their whole lives for revenge. Candy canes flew, tinsel wrapped around the rollers, and the inflatable reindeer attempted to escape skyward before exploding with a loud pop that made the staff hit the emergency stop. Santa crawled out of the foam, drenched, missing one boot, and was promptly detained by police for destruction of machinery and operating a vehicle unfit for public scrubbing. The car wash closed for the rest of the day, still coughing out bits of glitter. 17. The Santa who started a snowball riot. In Pennsylvania, during a town tree lighting ceremony, Santa tried to get the crowd involved by tossing a snowball at a group of teenagers. Unfortunately, it hit the mayor instead, right in the neck, causing the teens to cheer and retaliate. Within seconds, the square turned into a full-blown snowball battlefield, with shoppers ducking behind hot chocolate stands while Santa shouted, "Cease fire!" like a general losing control of his army. Police charged in to break it up, slipping repeatedly on packed snow while being pelted from all directions. Santa was taken in as the instigator, which must be the weirdest box ever checked on an arrest form. The mayor later said he wasn't mad, just shocked by Santa's throwing accuracy. 18. Santa's drone delivery disaster. In California, a tech-savvy Santa decided he could modernize Christmas by delivering small gifts via drone around a neighborhood block party. Unfortunately, he failed to consider wind, trees, or gravity. The drones swerved wildly like futuristic mosquitoes having an existential crisis. One dropped a gift on a dog, one crashed into a BBQ grill, and one clipped a string of lights and started spinning like a tiny helicopter trying to escape a Hallmark movie. When police arrived, Santa was chasing his last surviving drone with a pool skimmer, yelling, "Land, you fool!" Officers cited him for unsafe operation of aerial devices and strongly recommended he stick to chimneys. 19. Santa who broke into his own house. In Georgia, a man dressed as Santa got locked out of his home after going outside to fix his lawn projector. Not wanting to bother his wife, he decided to break in through a window for comedic authenticity, as he later claimed. Neighbors saw Santa climbing through the side of the house at 1 a.m., panicked, and called police. Officers arrived to find Santa halfway through the window, tangled in curtains, shouting, "Honey, don't shoot, it's me!" They handcuffed him until his very tired spouse confirmed he did, in fact, live there. Police noted he was embarrassed but cooperative and advised him to maybe start carrying a house key. 20. Santa's ill-fated hot cocoa. Stand in Idaho. A Santa set up an unofficial hot cocoa booth outside a busy supermarket, offering free cocoa for good cheer. The issue? He didn't have a permit, didn't have hygiene training, and his entire setup consisted of a rusty folding table and a questionable crockpot powered by an extension cord stretched across the sidewalk. After 2 pedestrians tripped over the cord, police stepped in. Santa insisted he was providing a vital public service. The officers responded that public services do not typically involve trip hazards and scalding beverages. When they unplugged the crockpot, Santa shouted, "You're killing the magic!" The cocoa, witnesses said, was lukewarm at best. 21. Santa's failed escape on an electric scooter. In Oregon, a man in a Santa suit shoplifted 3 scented candles from a department store: Winter Pine, Gingerbread Bliss, and Elf Sweat, the last of which raises more questions than answers. Security chased him into the parking lot where his getaway vehicle was a rented electric scooter. The scooter maxed out at 11 mph, and Santa's hat kept flying off, slowing him down even more. He attempted a dramatic turn, immediately wiped out, and slid under a parked SUV. Officers arrested him while the candles rolled away like disappointed witnesses. In the report, police noted he yelled, "You'll never catch me," after they'd already caught him. 22. Santa arrested for harassing a plastic reindeer. In Kentucky, police received multiple calls about a disorderly Santa arguing with a decorative reindeer. They arrived to find a man drunkenly lecturing a life-sized plastic Rudolph on slacking off, underperforming, and jeopardizing Christmas logistics. When officers tried to intervene, Santa accused them of taking Rudolph's side. He was charged with public intoxication and disturbing the peace, though the officer admitted in the report that the conversation appeared one-sided and unproductive. The plastic reindeer was unharmed but remained, according to witnesses, judgmental. 23. Santa's ill-timed emergency slide demonstration. In North Carolina, a volunteer Santa working at a school holiday assembly decided to demonstrate proper chimney exit technique using the emergency slide attached to the school gym's portable stage. Unfortunately, the slide wasn't designed for adults, especially adults wearing 30 pounds, of polyester velvet. He launched down the slide like a runaway bowling ball, collided with a stack of folding chairs, knocked over the cardboard North Pole backdrop, and sent 3 elves scattering like startled pigeons. Teachers called for medical assistance, parents gasped, and Santa kept insisting this was part of the show. He escaped with minor injuries and a citation for unsafe use of school property. 24. Santa who tried to pay bail with candy canes. In Minnesota, after being arrested for trespassing at a winter carnival, he wandered into the restricted pyrotechnics area claiming he was checking the chimney smoke levels. Santa attempted to post bail using a handful of peppermint candy canes and a $5 Starbucks gift card. The clerk stared at him like he'd just offered Monopoly money dipped in sugar. Santa insisted the candy canes had significant North Pole value. The clerk said the only value they had was diabetic risk. Ultimately, his wife came to get him, muttering that next year he was being the Easter Bunny instead. 25. Santa versus the artificial snow cannon. In Colorado, a ski resort Santa wanted a dramatic arrival for the kids waiting at the lodge, so he positioned himself in front of the artificial snow cannon. The problem? He didn't check the power setting. When the machine fired, it blasted him off his feet like a gingerbread-scented rocket. Santa tumbled down a small slope, vanished behind a snowbank, and reappeared 30 seconds later covered in so much artificial snow he looked like a marshmallow avalanche survivor. Resort security detained him briefly, not for a crime, but because they couldn't tell if he was conscious under all that fluff. 26. Santa arrested for riding a shopping cart rodeo style. In Oklahoma, a man in a Santa suit hopped onto a shopping cart in a Walmart parking lot and rode it downhill like a rodeo bull. Witnesses say he was shouting, "Yee-haw, Christmas," as he swerved between cars. He eventually crashed into a stack of outdoor poinsettias, sending soil and red petals flying like a floral explosion. When police arrived, Santa insisted he was training for rooftop landings. Officers wrote him up for disorderly conduct and improper use of store equipment. Walmart banned him for the season, which, according to him, was anti-holiday discrimination. 27. Santa who tried to swap gifts in a toy store. In Tennessee, a mall Santa wandered into a toy store and began correcting their gift inventory by moving toys around the aisles to match the naughty and nice list. He put Barbie dream houses in the naughty category, action figures in the nice category, and for reasons unknown, placed 37 rubber duckies directly in the manager's office. When confronted, Santa argued that the internal gift distribution system was flawed. Security escorted him out after he attempted to climb a shelf to evaluate toy morale. He was charged with tampering with merchandise and, unofficially, confusing everyone. 28. Santa's failed attempt to refill a snow globe fountain. In Ohio, a man in a Santa costume tried to improve the holiday vibe at a mall by pouring 2 gallons of dish soap into the decorative snow globe-style fountain. He thought it would create magical snowy foam. It did not. Instead, the fountain erupted into 10-foot towers of suds that drifted across the food court like migrating soap monsters. Kids loved it. Management did not. Police detained Santa as he insisted the foam symbolized winter wonder. The janitorial staff referred to it as the worst Tuesday ever. 29. Santa versus the live nativity camel. In Alabama, a Santa wandered too close to a live nativity scene featuring an actual camel named Buttercup. Buttercup, apparently not a fan of red suits, promptly chased Santa across the church lawn. Witnesses claim Santa tripped over a shepherd, knocked into a wise man, and rolled down a small hill while yelling, "They didn't warn me about this in training." Police arrived after calls reporting a Santa being pursued by an angry biblical mammal. No charges were filed, though the camel's handler told Santa to stay out of Buttercup's personal space zone. 30. Santa arrested for climbing the town tree. In Vermont, after the annual lighting ceremony, a Santa, apparently overcome with emotion or caffeine, attempted to climb the 40-foot town Christmas tree to fix the star placement. He made it to about 12 feet before firefighters begged him to come down. He refused, saying, "Christmas depends on precision." Moments later, a branch snapped, and Santa slid down the tree like a red velvet fireman pole, taking out several ornaments and one unfortunate string of popcorn garland. Officers arrested him for public endangerment. The tree survived. Santa's pride did not. 31. Santa who mistook a drive-through car wash for a tunnel to the North Pole. In Idaho, a volunteer Santa, exhausted after 16 hours of charity events, saw the glowing neon lights of a drive-through car wash and somehow convinced himself it was a magic portal back to the workshop. He paid, drove in, and immediately panicked when the high-pressure sprayers blasted his window like an angry polar storm. He tried to open the door to escape, was flung backward by the spray, and began screaming, "Elves, abort mission!" Workers hit the emergency stop, and police removed him from the car wash still foamy and emotionally compromised. He wasn't charged. Officers classified it as holiday exhaustion with mechanical misinterpretation. 32. Santa who tried to repaint a police car more festively. In Maine, a Santa volunteering at a holiday charity event saw a parked police cruiser and decided it looked too gloomy for the season. While officers were directing traffic, he grabbed a can of red spray paint from a donation box and began adding festive accents to the bumper, the trunk, and, tragically, the backup camera. When officers returned, Santa proudly presented his work like a kid showing off a macaroni craft. They were not thrilled. He was detained while loudly insisting, "It's Christmas! Black and white are not holiday colors." Officers gently explained that repainting government property counts as vandalism, even if you call it holiday enhancement. The paint job needed 3 hours of scrubbing, and several officers later admitted they still found glitter in the wheel wells. 33. Santa arrested for starting a silent night flash mob in a library. In Massachusetts, a mall Santa decided to spread cheer at the local library by organizing a spontaneous caroling moment. Except he didn't tell the library, or the staff, or anyone who might have said, "This is a bad idea." At exactly 3:15 p.m., he and a group of confused volunteers burst into the reading room singing Silent Night at full volume. Patrons panicked. One woman tripped over a stack of cookbooks. Someone shouted, "Code Red," like it was an apocalyptic siren. Librarians called police for a disruptive holiday intrusion. Officers escorted Santa out while he argued. But the spirit was silent. The singing wasn't. He wasn't charged but was banned from the library until January, which honestly feels like a fair seasonal boundary. 34. Santa who caused a blackout by plugging in 17 extension cords. In Indiana, a man in a Santa suit tried to power a massive yard display featuring 12 inflatable reindeer, a 15-foot snowman, 3 synchronized candy cane light arches, and a glowing LED North Pole This Way sign. Sadly, the house's electrical system was from 1973. When he plugged in his final extension cord, which was already chained through 6 others like an electrical daisy chain of doom, the entire block went dark. Neighbors reported hearing a loud thwomp, followed by Santa shouting, "Uh-oh!" Police and the power company showed up to find Santa sitting on his porch looking like a man who just rebooted the universe. He was fined for improper outdoor wiring. The inflatables all deflated simultaneously, creating the saddest holiday collapse since Sears. 35. Santa arrested for riding a lawnmower through a Christmas parade. In Arkansas, organizers told the volunteer Santa he'd be arriving on a motorized sleigh. They meant a decorated golf cart. He thought they meant literally anything with an engine, so he brought his riding lawnmower, not even decorated, just a regular green mower with a Santa duct tape to the seat. When the parade began, he buzzed onto the street mowing at full throttle, accidentally blowing grass clippings onto the marching band. Children screamed, confetti cannons misfired, a tuba player took a direct hit of lawn debris and fell over. Police pulled him over mid-parade, lights flashing, creating the world's least festive traffic stop. He was charged with disrupting a public event and unsafe seasonal machinery operation. 36. Santa who mistook a police horse for a reindeer. In Denver, a heavily bundled Santa approached a mounted police officer, squinted at the horse, and declared, "Blitzen? Is that you?" Before the officer could react, Santa tried to hug the horse. The horse, who was not emotionally prepared for this level of Christmas affection, backed up and nearly knocked over a newspaper stand. Police intervened quickly. Santa insisted the horse had the spirit of a reindeer, which the officer said was not legally relevant. He wasn't arrested, but he was given a stern lecture on equine boundaries. The horse, sources say, remained deeply confused. 37. Santa who got stuck in a revolving door for 20 minutes. In New York, a Santa entering a hotel tried to make a dramatic entrance by spreading his arms wide and shouting, "Christmas is here!" Unfortunately, his sleeves got caught on the edges of a revolving door, and the whole mechanism jammed with Santa wedged inside like a festive cork. Guests had to push from both sides while Santa pleaded, "Everybody calm down." Eventually, firefighters freed him using tools normally reserved for car extractions. Hotel security questioned him because the door's glass cracked during the rescue. Santa apologized, saying he'd underestimated the physics of joy. The door was shut down for repairs. Santa was escorted inside through the normal entrance, looking very deflated. 38. Santa arrested after falling asleep in a nativity manger. In Nebraska, after a long night of spirited eggnog consumption, a Santa wandered into a church lawn display and curled up inside the manger for a nap. Early morning church volunteers discovered him snoring loudly next to the plastic baby Jesus. They called police, unsure if this counted as trespassing, vandalism, or just the odd. Officers found Santa wrapped in hay like a Yuletide burrito. When they woke him, he said, "I just needed a silent night." They gently explained that sleeping in a public nativity is not legal. He was charged with trespassing but released after promising to nap in more appropriate environments. 39. Santa who tried to order drive-thru food on foot. In Ohio, a Santa walking home from a bar decided he desperately needed a cheeseburger. Instead of going inside, he attempted to walk through the drive-thru lane, shouting at the speaker box like it owed him money. When the employee told him they couldn't serve pedestrians, he climbed onto the menu board like a pirate boarding a ship and yelled, "Then bring me the burger up here!" The employee called police. Officers arrived to find Santa perched on the menu display waving a candy cane like a royal scepter. They coaxed him down and charged him with disorderly conduct. He never got the cheeseburger. 40. Santa who tried to bless a frozen lake and fell through in. Minnesota, a Santa leading a winter charity walk decided to perform a ceremonial holiday blessing on the frozen lake beside the trail. He walked onto the ice, raised his arms dramatically, and shouted, "Let this lake know joy." The lake responded by cracking under him like a polite but firm no. He plunged waist-deep into freezing water and had to be pulled out by terrified volunteers. Police were called because the commotion triggered a false emergency alert from a nearby ice fishing hut. Santa was treated for mild hypothermia and given a citation for ignoring posted thin ice warnings. When asked why he ignored the signs, he replied, "I thought they didn't apply to Christmas magic." 41. Santa who tried to borrow a rowboat for a sleigh test. In Maine, a Santa preparing for a community event decided he needed to test his sleigh steering skills on water. So naturally, he untied a small rowboat at a public dock at 11 p.m. and pushed off into the harbor. Unfortunately, he forgot to bring oars, or lights, or any sense of direction. He drifted for 40 minutes, waving for help and shouting, "The tides know me," before the Coast Guard arrived. When asked why he didn't just stay on land, he replied, "Practice makes perfect." They cited him for unauthorized vessel use and strongly suggested that Santa stick to snow, not maritime experimentation. 42. Santa arrested for starting a chain reaction of ornament theft. In Kansas, a Santa doing neighborhood morale checks noticed a loose ornament hanging on someone's lawn tree. He tried to fix it, but accidentally snapped the whole branch off. Panicking, he tried to reattach the branch using ornament hooks, making the situation significantly worse. As he fussed with it, a neighbor yelled, "Hey, he's stealing!" Within minutes, 3 households called 911 to report a Santa robbing the street. Officers found him holding a broken branch, surrounded by fallen ornaments, trying to explain that gravity attacked first. He was charged with property damage and given a stern lecture about touching other people's tinsel. 43. Santa who tried to use a leaf blower to make snow. In Georgia, where real snow is rarer than a quiet Walmart on Black Friday, a Santa attempted to create a magical winter moment for local kids using a leaf blower and a giant bag of powdered sugar. It worked beautifully for about 3 seconds, until a gust of wind sent sugar blasting across a parked police cruiser, several parents, and one unlucky golden retriever. Officers approached Santa as he shouted, "Let it snow!" while the leaf blower malfunctioned and covered him in a cloud of sweet powder. Police cited him for disorderly conduct and improper dessert dispersal. The dog, witnesses say, had the best day of its life. 44. Santa who tried to enter a house through a dog door. In New Mexico, a Santa doing charity rounds decided to surprise a family by entering through the dog door for authenticity. He did not consider the basic physics. He was 240 pounds of man in suit. The dog door was designed for a 12-pound schnauzer. He got stuck halfway, legs outside, arms inside, unable to move in either direction. The family discovered him flailing like a trapped Christmas beetle and called authorities. Firefighters had to carefully disassemble the frame to free him, while Santa apologized repeatedly and vowed to train in narrower spaces next year. Officers classified the incident under non-criminal entrapment. 45. Santa arrested after riding a Zamboni without permission. In Minnesota, after a local ice rink's holiday skate night, a Santa spotted an unattended Zamboni and took it for a joyride, because in his words, it looked like a sleigh prototype. He drove it in wide circles, accidentally shaving too much ice and creating a hazardous slope that caused 2 figure skaters to slide dramatically into the boards. Police arrived to find Santa still circling, shouting, "This thing handles like a dream." They charged him with unauthorized operation of rink equipment. The Zamboni survived. The ice required 5 hours of repairs. 46. Santa who caused an airport security lockdown. In Arizona, a Santa rushing to catch a flight for a charity event tried to bring a giant metal sleigh bell through TSA. When scanners flagged it, he panicked and ran back toward the exit, shouting, "It's just a bell!" TSA agents chased him through the concourse as he jingled loudly and unavoidably with every step. The airport went into partial lockdown, multiple gates shut down, and police tackled him near a pretzel kiosk. He later explained he was afraid the bell would be confiscated because it was magically important. TSA explained it was confiscated because it was literally a blunt metal object. 47. Santa arrested for aggressive caroling. In Wyoming, a Santa stood outside a restaurant singing Jingle Bell Rock at increasing volume when the diners inside wouldn't join in. After several minutes, he began pounding on the windows in rhythm, shouting, "Participation is mandatory." The manager called police, claiming a Santa is attempting to intimidate patrons with festive enthusiasm. When officers asked him to calm down, he tried to recruit them for backup vocals. They declined. He was arrested for disturbing the peace, still harmonizing as they put him in the squad car. 48. Santa who tried to steal a Christmas parade float because it was his, and now the grand finale. In Louisiana, a very committed Santa spotted a beautifully decorated parade float shaped like a giant sleigh. He became convinced, loudly and publicly, that it was his actual sleigh stolen by corporate elves who betrayed him. Before security could react, he climbed onto the float, grabbed the reins, and attempted to drive it away despite it being fully attached to a truck. That was not moving. The driver, terrified, froze while Santa screamed, "Onward!" and tried to whip imaginary reindeer. When police pulled him off, he shouted, "You're all on the naughty list," loud enough to echo across Main Street. He was charged with attempted vehicle theft and theatrical overcommitment. Humanity's wildest holiday crimes continue. Pick the dumbest Santa disaster in the comments.